We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Our guest this morning on Thursday is Clint Kelly, malpractice attorney here in Middle Tennessee, and he practices all across the state and even has some cases sometimes with other attorneys outside the state. And Clint, thanks for joining us this morning. You know, I wanted to ask you, we know with football coming back and they're playing and all of this, a lot of people were wondering, well, why is it that they're not coming back and playing as quick? And then eventually they did. We see the Southeastern Conference did. But now, of course, Nick Saban of Alabama, if the most high-profile coach in the country, I don't care, next to Bill Belichick at the NFL level, it's Nick Saban. He tested positive. I had said that it wasn't about not playing so much because you're concerned about the safety of everyone. I always maintained that the reason they didn't come back quickly was they had concerns about liability. And I'm wondering if a football player in one of these colleges gets sick with COVID and there's an issue, and God forbid he gets very ill or perhaps even dies, I mean, can there be legal action there?
Not in Tennessee. That's what that COVID immunity bill did. Is it didn't just affect me and you, Nick, it affected the football players as well. I mean, it would be so hard to meet that threshold. Basically, they immunize the football programs and also the doctors who take care of the football players. And boy, you talk about some serious financial damages. But I want to speak to Nick Saban. By the way, Nick, I don't know what would happen in Alabama and Georgia because I don't know what kind of laws they have. But that news about Nick yesterday really sent a chill down my spine, because if Nick's not safe, who is?
Right. I mean, that's what I was thinking. Now, you got the players out there back and forth, and Nick Saban having that, of all people. And I'll say this with him. I mean, of all the coaches, and there's some that are more fly-by-night and, kind of, Nick Saban, I'm pretty sure, probably was taking the steps and being, I think, in his own mind, careful. I'd be very surprised if he was careless in any way, and yet he still was exposed. I don't know where or how he may have gotten it. He, by the way, doesn't have any symptoms yet, but that he did test positive for it. So you worry about the players in his program and other programs?
Absolutely, I do. And you know what else I worry about, Nick? I worry about the mixed messages that are being sent over the TV, where on the one hand you got the president saying that we're past this thing, that we've turned the corner, that everything's going to be okay, and then you got the most recognized coach in college football, who you would think is a very careful person, who gets the COVID, and then has now got players in his program at risk. You can't have two going on at the same time. And that's to me is the message that's being sent is wrong. Not that everybody needs to be scared. We just need to all wear masks and be very careful and understand there will be times, there are going to be outbreaks, but keep it a campfire. Don't allow it to be a forest fire like a super spreader event. And that's what I'm concerned about. Is there are people that are watching TV who think it's all okay, everything's great. They're not paying attention to what's going on in Tennessee with the increasing numbers, and then Nick gets it.
Yeah. A classic example of that is the Florida coach Dan Mullen saying after they had lost to Texas A&M and all of this, they're coming back home, and he has LSU this weekend supposedly until it was postponed, saying, "I want 90,000 fans in the stadium. We should be able to have 90,000 fans," which was an idiotic thing to say. And then the irony in all this is that just a day later, like 20 of his players test positive and all this. But I mean, it's just, what planet's that guy from? And the irony that he's saying, well, we should have 90,000 fans, and I believe they would probably go if they opened it up like that. And then the very next day, all these, and because of that, that game now is postponed until later in the season. I mean, does this guy not get a clue?
Nick, he can have a swamp.
Yeah,
It'll be a swamp, all right. Yeah.
I'm not going. That's crazy. Let's take some more phone calls. Let's go to Candy. Candy, good morning. Hi, Candy.
Good morning, Nick, and good morning to your guests. And let your guests know I love that scenery behind him. Well, I just, some people may not like what I'm saying, but concerning the coronavirus, I just wish people would understand the reason for the mask. I know they don't like it, some of them, but I see them in these stores without them walking around like it's okay. I had a family, my daughter, they lost their grandmother in a nursing home in July of COVID. and they could not even touch her. You know what I mean? You can see her through the glass. That's what I'm saying. And then when I heard the attorney say that you could take them out, I didn't know that. That would have been a good thing. But then again, I'm trying to tell the people, if they're listening, wear your mask. You may not think it protects, but it does. It helps people like me, yourself, your family. You can get around someone that has the dropping, and that is why the mask should be worn. So I just wanted to say, I hope that they listen and put their mask on.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
And you all have a good morning.
You too, Candy. Appreciate your call.
Thank you.
Problem with that, Nick, is you know what? You can say that, and I 100% agree with her. Those who are choosing not to wear masks right now, they've made up their minds. Nothing's going to change their mind now. But I can tell you this. I have some friends, okay, whose loved ones were adamantly against wearing masks and wouldn't wear them. They didn't believe a lot of this. And some of them were elderly. And I have two friends whose older loved ones died because they threw caution to the wind, they got exposed, they were high risk, and they died within a week. And it's tragic. I'm not sitting here saying, well, they got what they deserved. Certainly not. I'm sitting here saying it's such a shame, and I hate that that happened, and it could have been prevented.
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine, too, who was joking about the masks back at a time when the president was joking about the masks, and her uncle died. She doesn't joke anymore.
No. It hits home when that happens, and unfortunately, in a lot of cases, then it's too late. And I hate that. These were good people, and it's just what you believe, I guess. Let's go to Ron. Ron, good morning. Hi, Ron.
Yeah, you're talking about masks. Everybody's talking about masks now. It's not only masks. When it first started, it was being passed by contact on your hands. Money can hold it for so long. Cardboard, plastic, different items like that can. It's washing your hands and sanitizing your hands every chance you get to keep down this virus. You wonder where that coach got it? He could have got it anywhere.
You're
from
right.
a grocery store, taking a change in the grocery store, or from talking on a phone, or picking up a microphone that somebody else had handled. It's passing otherwise, and they're making too much importance on masks. To both are important. I do agree. The masks are probably really important, but it's also to be sure and sanitize the things you handle, the food, the utensils, stuff like that. You probably can't the food, but when you go in the grocery store, be careful what you pick up and put back down, and different things like that.
No, you're absolutely right. You can't forget that. And you touch it, and then the idea is then you can touch your face and then spread it to that. And yeah, Nick Saban could have done everything right and still been exposed, right, Nick? Right, Clint?
Yeah, although the caller makes a great point. Have you noticed in the hospitals we haven't had major outbreaks?
Yeah. Of COVID, right? Yeah.
Right, and I think a prime reason for that is the hospitals are notorious about cleaning their hands. Everyone cleans their hands in the hospital. They wear gloves, and then when the hands are exposed, they clean them multiple times throughout the day. And so what he was talking about, where you can touch something that has COVID on it, and it gets on your hands, and then you touch your nose, you touch your lips, and that's how it gets transmitted oftentimes, or you rub your eyes. What the healthcare practitioners do in the hospitals, they wash their hands constantly, and they're trained not to touch their face with their hands. And I think that, in addition to wearing masks, is the reasons why the hospitals, who are usually dirty, and you and I both have well documented that, in the case of COVID, have remained clean.
And yeah, if you can make that comparison, because I was going to ask you then, you've talked before about how, hospitals are dirty places by definition, germ-wise. Why is it the hand washing and all that doesn't affect things when we've had these outbreaks like MRSA and stuff? Is just COVID a different animal?
Yes, it is a different animal. It's transmitted differently. When you talk about staph infection, staph's on your body, Nick. You've got staph on you right now. So do I. It's on our skin, but it doesn't hurt us because it doesn't get into our bloodstream. Okay.
Yeah.
People who have surgery done on them, when you cut into the body, and surgery is a controlled assault on the body. what you're doing is you're introducing staph into the body if it's not cleaned well enough. And sometimes even when you clean well, there are instruments and things of that nature that are introduced into the body, and that's how MRSA spreads. It's not just MRSA. I mean, we talked about, that endoscopy, the scope that's passed down your mouth, and the sigmoidoscopy that's passed up your rectum. Well, sometimes you get feces on the end of the scope that's not cleaned off very well, and that feces has what's called C. diff. C. diff is a particular type of bacteria. It's usually meant to stay inside the stomach and help you digest food, but if it's introduced into your mouth, and it gets stuck inside your esophagus or gets into your stomach and it's not broken down properly, it can give you symptoms like dysentery, and it can get out of control and potentially kill you. And all that's because they're not cleaning the tip of the scope correctly, where you get feces stuck in it. In other words, the same scope that they put up your rectum is the same scope oftentimes they put in your mouth.
Oh, geez. Gosh. All right, listen. On that note, we're going to take a break, come back with our final segment. I'll say this, Clint, some of the same precautions we're all taking right now to try to protect us from COVID-19 will also now, if this is a good thing, a silver lining, protect us from the flu season, which is about to kick in. I don't know if you got your flu shot, I got mine, but those masks and washing your hands, those are the very same things that protect you from the flu as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Listen, let's take a break on that note. Back with our final segment with Clint Kelly right after this.